Hello, everyone. Everybody say hi.
Hi.
Hey.
Hey.
So, welcome to our little cast chat of the murder at Cheltenham Manor. Um, uh, I guess most people who are watching probably know us here, but we'll go around and say hi. I am Lewis. I wrote the little TV skit play, whatever you want to call it, is that we did, and this is
Jordan, and I was the drunkard Cyril.
Mary. Why don't you go next?
I'm Mary Murdoch. I played Mrs. Neathley, the cook.
And Katie.
Katie Roshan, your wife, Nora Davies Dalton. Different hair.
Lauren Brader.
I'm Lauren Brader. Played Constance and Maud.
You played both?
Oh, surprise! Shocker!
They're both me.
Jen.
Yep, I was Evelyn Crenshaw until you decided to tell me my name was Eve.
Correct. Jill.
I am Jill Jabalisco, and I was Mercy the maid.
Damien.
Hi, I'm Damien. I played Detective. What was my name? William
Poopy
Wallace.
Shoes?
And I also was
Roger
the
Wallace.
editor.
Yeah.
Yes, and the editor.
The director, really.
And the director, it's
And
true.
the director.
Joe.
Hi, I'm Joe. I played Philip Martin, who then became Patrick.
True. Anna.
Who then became dead.
I am Anna Hens, and I was Florence Dalton, forever mother.
Mike.
I'm Mike Prickrell. I was the butler, Henry Harris.
Eric.
Hi, my name is Eric Snyder. I was Dr. Deer, the late coming doctor.
Yes, indeed. Travis.
Hi, I'm Travis Gawasson. I played Philip Martin, the new valet at the end.
David.
I'm David Whiteman. I played Lord Dalton, Forever Lewis's father.
Aiden.
I'm Aiden Rice. I played Simon Grigsby, the long lost brother. I was also Philip Martin at one point.
And Eddie.
I'm Eddie Honan. I was Daniel McCarthy. And I have to say, I also could not keep track of Aiden's name, so I just called him Aiden the entire time.
So we are missing just the one cast member.
I think so, just Alex.
We are missing one cast member, and it is Alex Klein. He played what was his name? Bassett. Yes.
That's right.
Basset
the
Hound.
protege to. That's correct. Named after the Basset Hound. And he may pop in later, but he's the only one not here. So welcome to anyone who's watching. We just wanted to kind of get together and chat a little bit about what this experience was like for all of us. And some people have reached out and said they really enjoyed the show, and we're so happy about that. I'll share a little anecdote with all of you that you definitely don't know, because it only happened to me and I haven't told anyone. The other night, we were getting ready. We opened our drive-in movie theater in the parking lot of our normal theater. And the other night, someone drove in, and I was in the parking lot checking people off the list, because that's what I do for a job now. And they said, "Oh my gosh, we love the murder mystery." And I said, "Thank you very much." And they were like, "Yeah, it's just as good as anything on Netflix right now." So if you want us, we're here, we're ready, we're out of work mostly, so come and get us.
That's our new tagline. Just as good as anything on Netflix right now.
Famously, Netflix on Rick and Morty will pick up anything, they say.
So they say.
Yeah, who cares about
Any of you out there know anyone at Netflix? Let's go. All right, so we have a couple of questions that we kind of came up with that Jordan and I will answer, and then if you guys want to kind of answer for yourselves, we'll do that. We're going to ask those questions, and then for those of you watching, we have a very funny blooper reel that we will show you guys. I think most of us have seen it at this point. There are a few curse words in the blooper reel, but you can't really contain creative people when they're working on their art. So if you don't like it, sorry. And then after the blooper reel, we will come back and you can ask us any questions that you might have or any comments or anything like that. You can just, what do they type into the chat box?
Yeah.
Or, so you can just type into the chat box, and our wonderful stage manager for the and technical director for this event, who is not showing his face, he's the little Music Mountain Theater picture, he will let us know.
Hi, Chris.
So the first question.
The first question's for everyone. It's more so, what's the funniest memory you have of filming, or what's a funny anecdote about kind of filming yourself versus holding the script and lighting and cats and kids and quarantining. So while you think of that, Damien, the next question is truly for you. It's how did you get all of this editing together? So kind of a two-parter for everyone.
So while everyone's thinking of their little anecdotes, I just wanted to talk real quick about how this came to be. So when the quarantine happened, we, everyone was working, obviously. Jordan and I own a theater company, and all of these people have been part of that theater company. Some of us have known each other for a very long time, like Anna, David, Damien, Jill, obviously I know longer than anyone else because she's my sister. But we've known each other for a very long time. And when this quarantine happened and our theater was shut down, creative people like to keep creating, and whatever that means. And luckily, creative people are creative in the way they think and can come up with new ways of doing things. So I personally had always wanted to write a murder mystery. I have written a small catalog of children's theater shows that they're all musicals, but I had always wanted to write a play, and I've always loved murder mystery. So I got the idea to write it and take this time to do that. And I got in touch with Damien, who I've known for many, many years, because he is a wizard at video and audio editing. And I knew that if this were to come of anything, I would have to have Damien involved, because I am like kryptonite when it comes to technology. Like, I'm surprised I'm even here right now. It's just like not something over my face. So I knew that I could write it and have fun with doing that, but that was about the extent of what I was able to do with it.
And that's all I needed.
And
that's
so,
all I needed.
Damien, why don't you explain to everyone who might be watching how the process was from your end?
The process actually was kind of easy. It wasn't. I think it was more exciting in the very beginning, because when you had emailed me about doing the show, I thought it was one of the most creative things that we all could do because of what was going on at the time. Like, we weren't able to, be with anybody. We weren't able to see, like, physically be with each other. And it was interesting because on television and Netflix, they're like, for example, the Parks and Rec finale was all on Zoom, and it was like everybody started doing like this TV show that was like everybody's talking on Zoom, and you were like, no, let's do an actual show where we film actual scenes. And I was like, that's a brilliant idea. So the idea was, it was actually, getting people together and just like talking to everybody and just like directing people on how to like hold their cameras and like where to put them, how many shots and how many takes they can give me. And that was basically the start of everything. And once I figured out that everybody was able to do this, and we have, everybody's a great actor and everything, and you guys learned so much, like just, putting the camera, especially people that are by themselves, like that, to me, it was so inspiring to just keep going forward and making this even better. And I think Lewis, at the very beginning, when he told me about this, I was like, I'm making a credit sequence. And I remember making the credit sequence. I'm like, I have nothing to do. this quarantine is like really like, it sucks because we can't we're not allowed to go out anywhere. So I just started filming and I sent him over and he was like, this is great. And I was like, okay, we're going to start doing this. This is going to be awesome. But that's how it all started. So.
Yeah, it's just crazy. And really the criteria, other than people always ask me like, how did you pick the people that were going to be in it? And did you have the characters mapped out or blah, blah, blah. And the God's honest truth is the initial pick of people was this: who lives close enough to me that I can drive to their house and drop things off for them, and who has an iPhone.
Pretty much. Yep.
Now, truthfully, I knew talent, of course, is part of it, but like I said, we have a theater company, so everyone that's going to be on the top of our minds is going to be a talented person. So this was so kind of out of the box that those other two criteria became a little more important. But let's get to the question now, because they want to hear from more than just myself and Damien. So Jordan, anything funny?
I'll start. So my character liked to drink a lot. So in the early episode, I guess Brader and I filmed one scene together where we're talking about going to Cheltenham. And I had a little drink in my hand. And that night I decided to have a real drink. So then we filmed the second episode. Mm-hmm. No, the third episode was the dinner party. And in that, I was in maybe 6 different scenes. And in each scene I had a drink, and I made it a bad decision to, I was like, oh, it's nothing. We'll just have a drink. And then take after take after take, I would be sitting there drinking. And by the end of the night with Lewis and Lauren Brader, I was like, oh, that's a mistake. And all of the other drinks in the whole rest of the filming was just ice water.
You were just very dedicated to your character. We have 2 questions from our audience.
Sure, hit us, Chris.
All right,
so now we might answer them now. We might answer them later.
Okie dokie. First question is from our good friend Regina, and she asks, how did you direct the actors when they were all in different locations? We kind of covered that. Without all visual cues for where to look and when delivering their lines. So we covered that a little bit.
Yeah, I think an interesting point to add there is that dinner scene particularly, and you'll see a bit of it in the bloopers, but we the way we did it anyway, because Jordan and Lauren Brader and myself all live in the same household, so we did a lot of the group filming. But when we did that dinner scene, we sat where we were supposed to sit, and we had little pieces of paper with the names of the other people folded over the chairs, so we could look in the right direction. It was very confusing.
That was actually the probably one of the most specific episodes, and it was great because I basically used the blueprint of Lewis and Jordan and Lauren's house for most of the rest of the series. Lewis actually sent me a top-down version of the table with everybody sitting there. So normally when I give people directions, I would just, I would say, okay, you look this way or this way or this way, and then the best thing is Lewis gave everybody a top down of where they're supposed to be looking, and that's all. You just have to look where you're supposed to be looking. So it was really, really awesome.
Yeah, there were a couple maps throughout the process to help.
And our second question is from our very own Anya Madding. And her question is, hi Anya, and her question is, how did the audience answers influence the story over the 6 weeks? Did it go to the direction you expected? Yeah, we'll cover that in a second.
We'll get that. That was a few other people asked that same question, Anya, so we have that after the bloopers reel.
Continuing with funny stories. Anyone else?
I have one.
Me.
Yeah, David, go.
So Damien asked us to get a little artsy as we went on, and to give him different angles and things. And I had wanted to have a scene where I was putting on my gloves as I was leaving the house. I had no way to hang my phone up at that point. Luckily, I had a flood behind me in this bathroom here. My ceiling of my living room fell in, giving me exposed beams to rig up a thing to hang my phone. So it just dangled from this big hole in my ceiling so I could put my gloves on. I made it flood just for this film.
Oh, dedication.
Thank you.
I have one.
Katie, go ahead.
So I had similar problems with self-taping. I had a day, so I have a really, first of all, shout out to my aunt and uncle in Chicago. Thank you guys for watching all of this. I have a really rambunctious cat, which she actually appeared in the first episode walking around behind me. I had no idea until I saw the episode. She bit me in the face the day before filming. So I had a little scar on my lip, which I tried to cover by giving myself Octomom lips, like making my lipstick bigger to cover it. And so I'm clipping all of those scenes in the hallway. I'm standing literally in front of the bottom of my staircase. And I bought one of those clips for my phone that has like a little ring light and a holder for the phone. And I clipped it on there. And as I'm doing the scene in the hall, it's episode 3 or 4, the phone came forward and hit me in the mouth. So it's episode 3 or 4 that I have a scar on one side of my mouth and a fat lip that's like getting bigger as we're filming. It's like, yeah, the hazards of self-filming. But I'm surprised that didn't make the blooper reel because the camera came forward and smashed me in the mouth. And then I'm like, the rest of it, yeah.
Anyone else?
Wait, go ahead.
Yes, Mary, go ahead.
I was so excited to do mine. And I even told the family, be quiet, 4 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 4 o'clock. Only to find out my husband had a meeting from 4 to 5. So I'm like, great, 5 o'clock, it's mine. I just started, we set up the camera and on boxes, and all of a sudden these horns just start beeping, 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 beeping. They had a parade in front of my house, somebody's birthday. So I had to wait another half an hour before I could even start. So that was, I was so happy to do that though.
Jill, you had one?
Yeah, I have one. So I used to send Gigi out of the house. Like I didn't want anybody around me when I did it. So he knew like Wednesdays were like taping night. So I had a music stand and I would put the camera on there. But then, and this actually did make the blooper reel I saw. The one episode, Damien sent us all notes and it was the blackout episode. And you had to like finagle a flashlight or an iPhone or something. So I taped mine to the ceiling and I'm doing the scene or whatever, and I'm about to finish the scene, and I'm in the dark in my house. And if anyone knows me, I'm like Scary Mary anyway. So I'm all alone, like it's like 10 o'clock, and the light on the phone was on too long, and it shuts off. And I was like, and I'm standing in the dark, and I had to like flip the light on, and that actually did make the blooper reel. So it was just one of those like heart wrenching moments where I was like, I'm gonna be murdered in my own house, taping this murder mystery. It was funny.
Anyone else? Anything funny?
And then honestly, the funniest part for me was I filmed the first like 3 episodes in the Poconos with my mom, and she became not only a cinematographer and director, but also a location scout. She was like, no, that wall isn't working. And I would finish it and she'd be like, maybe say it a little bit more like this. And I'm like, Mom, are you kidding me? Come on, Nancy. It was ridiculous.
Shout out to Nancy.
Yeah.
Nancy.
Anna.
Well, we had our filming every Thursdays. And so Tyler, my son, would help me. And we would start off very cordial and you know, good bonding session. And by the end, every episode, we were always like,
Same. Exactly the same.
Yeah,
it almost ended our marriage, or it strengthened it. I can't tell. That's not a mid. You're not getting the top of my head. Oh, yeah.
Are you in 2 separate houses right now, Mike and Jen?
Actually, we're on 2 separate sides of the same room at my parents' house. So it just kind of worked out. You know, we're like, why didn't we film here? Because this would have been way easier than trying to clear out half the room in order to film. And there was this one night Eddie, like, you know, texted me and I was like, all right, hey, he's like, wait, you guys are in the middle of filming? We're like, yeah, we're in the middle of filming right now. He's like, I want to see what this looks like. So we put it on FaceTime and he's like, wait a minute, that's amazing. It's clear, it's clean. We go, no, watch this. And we just pan the camera over to the other side of the room. And he just completely starts cracking up. He's like, oh, I see how this is done now.
You just get a bulldozer and push
shove
everything to one corner of the room.
That's all it is. It's magic. That's all it is.
Anyone else? Funny anecdote?
You should
My
try,
glasses broke. Oh, Eric, did you have something?
Yeah, I was going to say, you should try yelling at your child to not scream playing Call of Duty while you're trying to tape.
Yeah.
He's in the basement screaming and banging on things, and I'm like, you have to be quiet.
I'm trying to film.
I'm trying to film.
All right, what's the next question? We'll move on.
Well, we can move on to, I guess Damien talked about Regina's question, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is there a bird somewhere?
Yeah, where's that bird coming from?
We're on the porch.
We're on the porch, so
I see.
I'm outside too. There might be.
Yeah.
Do you guys want to take another question, or do you want to go to the bloopers?
Chris, let's do one more question, and then we'll bloop.
Okie dokie. So a couple people are asking, and we'll get to this later, I think, but a lot of people are asking if there's going to be a season 2. We'll leave that for later.
Yes, we'll get back to that.
But Lizette is asking, where did the inspector get such a great set? How did you all share props?
That's an interesting question.
Two parts of that question.
So, Damien, I'll let you answer your part.
The set is
Shout
just
out to Elaine.
it's just my parents' house. That's my mom's. That's all her stuff. Literally, like, I went to Lewis. He gave me 2 jackets and a magnifying glass. I went to my parents' house, and she literally has 3 magnifying glasses sitting on books everywhere. Like that. As soon as I walked in, I'm like, okay, I'm shooting there. I'm shooting there. I'm shooting there. I could just use this place. It was perfect.
So, if you liked the inspector's set, his mom is an interior designer. So
Yeah,
we can
she is.
you can contact Damien, and she can make your house look like that.
I'll give you her number.
Inspector's set. What was the other question? The other part of that question?
The props. How do we get props?
The props. Okay, so here's how it went. For the very first thing, what I did was I went to the theater. Again, we have a theater for anyone who doesn't know. I pulled all of the costumes that I thought might work. I pulled all of the props that I thought people might need. I literally took the candles out of my front windows that are usually sitting there. I packed up little Tupperware
care packages
for people. I left them out in the driveway, and people came and picked them up, or I dropped them off occasionally. And those props, I had enough forethought to get through like the first 3 episodes, because truthfully, I had only intended on there being 4 episodes. And then as I kept writing and it kept getting more interesting, I just decided to extend past that. But so yeah, as we needed more props, I would, again, which is why I chose people that lived in close proximity to me. I could drive around and just drop things off once the script went out. All right, shall we bloop?
Yes.
All right.
3, 2, 1.
Sorry, take a big breath.
I'm just gonna let this go and I'll recount you. 3, 2, 1.
Very well. I have no inclination to start World War II.
Very good. Leave.
Well,
Walking out the door.
Don't let mom.
Shit, that's all wrong. Take 2. I could deny anything I thought. Sorry.
Not accustomed to the finer things, but no, I forgot my other line.
It's right there!
my donkeys.
Of course, and then our HUD.
You know you would.
Boston said.
Figure you can edit all this, right?
Afraid you'll have to submit. Let's finish that in the next reel.
You are horrid. The lines.
Must be the right page.
I can't wait. There's nothing you can say that can undo what has been done. I'm gonna do that one again.
Lord Bertram is as well known for his lavish soirees. As well known for his lavish soirees.
The bedroom's back on.
Alexa, turn the bedroom.
Alexa, turn off the bedroom. Hold on, we gotta start again. I got my glasses on. Scene 1, take 2.
Hush. You just stop laughing.
I'm gonna have to get that recipe from that cook of yours. Keep going, it's B-roll.
Hold on for fire trucks. Busy, busy.
Something that may have belonged to the murderer.
Higher.
Murderer.
No.
She was still acting, Lewis, and you're cutting her off.
All right, take two.
Oh, you mean your brother? He's turning men's heads. No?
That's what she's implying.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know about Mike's affair with Lewis.
Secret. It's a dirty
That's
secret.
what it is.
Oh my god, I didn't get
Revelation caught on camera.
There you are.
that. That didn't work.
Where's Connie?
Well, we're only 20 years in. I suppose you'll come up with something soon. Is that it? I just feel like there's some... We're only 20 years in. God.
Hold on.
Shit, let's try this again. I'm not good at being scary.
Would you please cast your suspicion in the direction of the person who just... What the hell? Sorry, Alexa.
Turn off the bedroom.
Can you tell me what you discussed on... That's wrong. The drawing room. Sounds like I'm new at reading. I know, it's awesome.
Make some out of your tartan.
Can you do that one more time, Lewis? When you lean in, you block
I
her
blocked her. Okay.
complete face.
Tartan.
Tell me, doesn't have these glasses.
The hell it is. I looked right at the camera.
It's a dead body. It's a dead body.
He's not. But Fritzy is.
I'll get it this time.
There's nothing to worry about, Miss Maud. No, Miss Maud, no, Miss Mercy. Keep rolling. We're good, we're good.
Mercy's real secret. Her shirts don't fit.
Constance confessed, Cyril confessed, Daniel confessed, Evelyn, Florence, Mercy, George, Maud, Paris, Nora, but...
Teach taught, teach ta. Teach do. It never gives me lucky charms.
I thought that you told Lady Constance that... No, what's the line?
You just keep walking.
See that? See that look? That was exactly what, like, what's his name? What Damien's looking for.
No, it's probably like, how long did it take for the prequels to record?
Okay.
Page.
Very well. The murder of Cheltenham Manor is...
I'd like to be with Cyril. I'd like to be with Cyril.
You touched my hand up.
Just ask my brother. No, Bram's new valet.
Eyeballs.
Harris, Cyril, George, Maud. Where is everybody?
If I just locked us out of the house.
This would be hilarious.
Easy as that. It only took me saying it 12 times to remember, so you should remember it.
Then why put us through this little game of murder?
That's so stupid. He's such an asshole.
A part of me. Shut up!
All the secret in the place.
Make sure you get that. I'll just do that again.
Oh shit, it's Spaceballs.
You and your mother will search the other places.
Maud? Maud!
Oh.
Maud. I hate you, Maud.
The person responsible for the murder of Mr. Solomon is Solomon. For the death.
They say dessert is here.
was me being served dessert. That was.
So we called it.
Just keep going.
That's pretty good, right?
I just swallowed a bug. It's like thing at the park. No, we did it. Got some theories. Well, better go talk to Mercy.
I'm sorry to have ever crossed paths with him. Fuck! Crossed paths.
The likelihood of you remembering any details is unlikely.
This is my wedding cake knife.
Maud's twin. I'm sorry, I started laughing. It's so dramatic.
Are we in some sort of peril? Parala.
Your house guest identified the body as fuck.
This is what's her name?
Maud.
There. Let us all get a good night's sleep to be ready for the morning. And this jerk off's questions.
Let's just do some general reactions, looking around
I can just read the scene.
to the people. That's Dad and Mom. And Bertie. Cyril's behind you on the right. And then some people come in. And then we're confused. We're startled. We're giggling.
No idea. What do you mean she's gone?
That's my lies. You say, well, then where is she?
Blub blub.
Have you got all that? Have you got all that?
And I'm done. And now I'm really gonna eat my dinner. Mwah.
But the power's all out. What's that? Out? All? Oh, God.
My hair's falling out again.
Well, we're recording, so.
Well,
What have I missed? I have my glasses on.
The name's Inspector.
Where is it? Where's the key?
Jordan's gonna kill me.
Deserves to be rewarded.
Pepperminty.
Stop wiggling.
Where did you get my gun?
Very good, sir. Whew. Scare me.
Oops.
Cyril, are you all right?
Bertie.
And then there's Maud.
And then there's Maud.
And then there's Maud.
And then there's Maud.
Yay! So what'd you guys
That was
think?
funny.
Was it funny?
So actually, you know, Damien asked us to
We're back.
include some things that had errors in it because he said sometimes he would get like a look or a facial expression. That's why there's kind of that weird stuff all included in that.
It's Spaceballs.
Well, no.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Yay!
They were pretty funny. Thanks, Damien.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I gotta say, my wife Julie did help me a little bit. I know
say,
she likes the recognition.
I helped film one of Joe's scenes, and it was a somewhat lengthy scene. He had a couple of paragraphs, and he was completely memorized, and I thought that was very admirable because, as you can tell from the bloopers, in our household we were not.
Some of us were.
If you go back and look, you can probably see a few computer Easter eggs and scenes here and there.
Yep.
Go ahead, Chris.
All right, our next question is from Joan Shubin, and she asks, "What was this editing process like? I have so many questions."
Oh boy.
Hey, Joan. Joan's a friend of Katie's. They work together at the school. And Joan and Jordan and Jill and I can't remember if anyone else, and Brader. We all did Into the Woods many years ago at the Pocono Playhouse before it burned down. I believe it was Rapunzel, if I'm not mistaken. So Damien, why don't you take that?
The editing process?
The editing
basically,
process, yeah.
Yeah, basically, I would get footage throughout the week from all of the actors. Really depended on when everybody was able to shoot. And basically, throughout the week, I would go through it and just kind of like skim through all the video that people have sent me. Usually people have they'll send me 3 different versions of each different take. So we'll do a medium shot, a close-up, and like a wide or any fancy kind of one, like an artistic version. And I would go through it during the week, and around like Thursday night, I'd start sending out text messages to everybody being like, okay, I gotta get your footage because I gotta start editing. And then what I'd do is I would start editing on like Friday morning, and I would put together, I'd basically go through each scene in order, because after the first episode, to be honest, the first episode is the only script that I read straight through and started editing. After that, because I wanted to be surprised with what happened, I would edit in sequence. And then as things were going on, I would like be like, oh my God, that's happening. And I'd put it together. So it was like I was watching the show with everybody, but I would basically edit Friday a little bit at night, and then all day Saturday if I could. And then Sunday I would try to edit up until like noon, because then I would have to export it and put it on Dropbox to give it to Jordan. And that usually, depending on the episodes, because they kept getting longer, it would take like a couple hours. So I'd have to get it done pretty quickly. So then I could give it to Jordan. He could put it on YouTube.
Damien, really quickly, question from me. If you can break it down in like 15 seconds, what's your editing setup like?
I have two big screens. I have an iMac, and I have just a regular flat screen TV that I have connected, and I use Final Cut Pro, and I just have my hard drive that's hooked up to it, and I just look back and forth. I have on my iMac, I have all of my clips, and then on my big screen, I have my timeline and my viewer.
Excellent. Thank you. All right, next question. If I can find myself here again.
Real quick while we're waiting, I want to tell the audience a little bit about Mary's story from a writing perspective. So early on, I wrote mention of Mrs. Knievely, the cook, with no intention of ever having the audience meet her. And then, because it was the write-in idea with, write with your input, and I'll get to that question that Anya and a few people had asked. Mary sent the most amazing response letters, and we forwarded one to the cast before she was part of the cast. I mean, like, thought was put into these things, and she was paying attention. So I decided to include her as Mrs. Knievely, and I wrote her a little quip here and there. But it just goes to show, like, you get what you put out into the world, right? She went the extra mile, and now she's a TV star.
Yay!
Chris,
job,
I'm sorry.
Mary.
Do you have another question for us?
Yeah. So, is there going to be a stage adaptation?
That's a very good question. We again, this was kind of like a whim. That it's just something that I always wanted to write. And everyone that you're looking at here really has a background in theatrical acting. I don't know how many of you, if any of you, have done like film or TV. But not that you have yet, because I don't know if this counts, but I guess I would assume it's more like that process. The short answer, yes. I would love to adapt this into a play. Luckily, we have a theater that we can do it at, and it's my creation, so it won't cost us anything, which is great. So that's the short answer. It would take a lot of restructuring because it just would. It was meant, you can do things on TV and changing locations a little bit more easily than you can do on stage. So it would definitely take some reading. But yeah.
Would you make it a musical?
It would not be a musical.
Okay,
This does not feel like a musical to me. It would be a play. It would just be a murder mystery play. And then, of course, Damien, once we start the fundraising campaign, we're going to shoot a feature film.
Yes.
That's what Damien has wanted to do from the
Maybe
get-go.
season 2.
Yes.
Amazing.
Yeah, but what if I just sing all of my lines?
That's a choice. And you may or may not be hired to do that.
If you know what I mean.
If you know what I mean.
You sing it in your Irish accent.
There you go.
I'd love personally to like film a couple scenes on stage, you know, with some better scenery and lighting. That would be the dream.
Yeah. I mean, I think we all, I want to talk briefly just about how unique of a process this particularly was. And if any of you would like to weigh in, please do. But a few of us have talked about this already. Being from a theatrical background as performers, you know, when you go into a play, even if it's a brand new work, you have the script in front of you, right? So you know where the play begins and you know where the play ends. This was nothing like that. And I don't know if you can equate it to, you know, I've never worked in TV. I don't know if that's how they do it or whatever, but I very purposely kept the information from the actors that did not pertain to their characters. When I wrote the script, I then broke it down. And if there were only 3 actors in scene 1, then those 3 actors got that scene and no one else did. So when you watch the episode, we were all watching it. I mean, Damien and myself were really the only ones who knew
that's right.
The beginning and the end. And I wanted it to be fun for everyone because you don't have the opportunity as an actor that often, never in stage really, to kind of like have zero background, and you really are forced to create what that character is. And then you learn about the character as you get more writing for that person. And to be completely honest, the performances that I would see, you know, because, you know, Damien would see it first and then he would send it to us to proof. Those performances and the way they were received by audience members would then kind of influence me as the writer as well. Just touching briefly on the question that was asked earlier about how much did the audience participation sway the story. I can honestly say 100% I was true to that. Whatever you all chose is how I wrote the story to go. It did not always go the way I would have liked it to, or the way that I had anticipated going, but I did stay true to that, with the exception of the actual murderer being Lord Dalton, because I just felt that that's what it needed to be. But I did sneak you guys and make you think that you picked the right one. But I did really try and honor that. All of those answers were utilized, and not all of them were the way I would have chosen if I were writing them, which speaks to the fact that if we were to do it on stage at some point, we talked about it having like in 3 acts maybe, so there would be 2 questions that the audience would answer, and then the actors would have to know those, you know, respective switch arounds. For those of you watching, every single one of the performers that were the main 12 original characters, they all shot a confession. They were all given a confession as the murderer. And the first 2 false confessions, there were 2 characters given those false confessions as well. So for the first false confession, it could have been Evelyn or Nora. And for the second one, it could have been Daniel or Mercy. And as it were, Mercy beat Daniel by 1 vote.
I tried so hard. I tried so hard.
Try it all.
Campaigning.
And I think Constance was third place.
Yeah.
Well, you're all crazy for not campaigning.
But every one of the characters that was eligible to be the murderer got at least one vote.
Yeah.
So everybody got a vote. Chris, was there anything else?
Yeah, so Ellie K initially asked about the stage adaptation, and she has a follow-up. Would you be open to any new cast members? P.S. Hey, Trav and Aiden.
I'm always open. Like I said with Mary's story, I'm always open to new characters. Once I decided to let Mrs. Knieveley appear, I then, because we had talked about Dr. Cavendier at one point or another too, I then decided to include that character. And then I just thought having the real Philip Martin show up at the end would be kind of fun as well, since
Well, even Joe's character.
Yeah.
But Lewis didn't really let any of us know any of the inside details. I would try to ask, who was this? What is this going to happen? And originally, one of the 12 people, I'm guessing one of the family members, I would only assume David's character was going to be the one to bite the bullet, because then all of those other people have something to gain from that. But then
it's weird. As I was writing and I got to know these characters and enjoy writing for them, I didn't want to kill any of them because I didn't know if the story would continue past where we were going to end. And it's weird. I felt like I know that it's like being, like schizophrenic. I'm writing for them. So I feel like they're all a little a part of me in some way, which is frightening in its own way. But I just didn't want to kill any of them. So then I brought Joe's character in, and that completely changed the trajectory of the story.
And then we all killed you.
I know. Love you.
And even though like with the process of the writing, like Joe's character was just meant to be in that one episode. And then I was like, hey, will you come back? Because I think I have another thing that we're going to do. And then for the last episode, I was like, hey, would you be willing to do 2 flashback scenes? So it's just fun.
What a doozy.
Yeah, right.
If I may.
Yeah.
My favorite email, one of my favorite emails from you, you said at one point during the filming, if anyone is tired of doing this, let me know. I will kill them off.
It's true, though. I mean, listen, I love to write, so I didn't mind spending the week writing. I love to write. I've always loved it. But you guys were volunteering your time. I mean, I know that like everyone's schedule had slowed down, but people are still working. And, at first I was like, oh, it's only going to be 4 episodes. Oh, it's only going to be 6 episodes. Oh, it's only going to be, and it just kept going and going. And then I start to feel bad because you're giving your free time up. So yeah, that's the honest truth. The story was so open-ended. Like I did not know. I truly and honestly did not know how it was going to end until we got to like the second to last episode, and everything started to fall in place. And I was like, okay, this, as the author, this is how I want to do it, but I'm going to let the audience play before I give them like the stamp on the ending. But it's the truth. If any of you, it got to be too much, I could have killed any of you. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it would have been okay.
Our next question comes from Jane Hyla. If you did it in theater, could you have different endings on different nights? Oh, as the tech guy, that's I mean, that would be so cool, right? But like that's a lot. That's a lot,
well,
right?
Get ready, Chris, because that's what's going to happen.
Bring it on. Bring it on.
That's a great point. Here's the thing. There's a show called The Mystery of Edwin Drood, which a few of us have performed in. And it's based on the Charles Dickens novel of the same title. And Charles Dickens died before the ending was ever written. So you never find out who he intended to be the murderer, although you can look at context clues and figure it out, but whatever. So they took this novel and they turned it into a musical. And at the point where the story ends, they have this discussion and they basically hand it over to the audience, and the audience gets to vote. Now, that's not to say that every person in the musical is eligible to be the murderer. There has to be a good enough reason for that person to be chosen. So it's narrowed down, and you get, I think, like 7 or 8, I don't remember, it's been a while, but you get 7 or 8 choices as to who the murderer could be, and the audience votes, and then it's it's the most fun for the cast. I've done the
Yeah.
show twice, and both times I played the character that is kind of is the fake out. My character always confessed, and then it turned out most of the time that I wasn't the actual murderer. And so there's this big moment where the audience votes, and everyone, you have to figure out who the murderer is, and if you're the chosen that night, you have to make sure that your material. And there's also options for two other sets of people, the lovers and the investigator or something. So I kind of modeled it after that, and I feel like we would do the same thing where at the end of Act 1, wherever that might fall for this play, the audience would vote, and that would influence Act 2. And then at the end of Act 2, the audience would vote again, and that would influence Act 3. But you have to, Chris brings up a good point, you have to narrow it down to like maybe only these 3 or 4 characters are eligible for the Act 2 version, and maybe only these 3 or 4 characters are eligible for the Act 3 version. Because if there's 12 possibilities, then you have the tech people like, where are we? What script are we doing? It's one thing for the actors to have to know their stuff, but when you're dealing with lighting cues and all that stuff, it's very, very difficult. And I have written some choose your own adventure style children's theater shows that a few of these guys have been in. And they were strangely a hit amongst the kids. They really liked performing in them. So I kind of understood how to write it so that you could have any like one of 5 options have this person, but the rest of the story doesn't actually have to change that much. So it's a little fine-tuning thing where you have to write it so that not too much changes.
Yeah, it's from a tech perspective, it's definitely very difficult when you have alternate endings, just because it happens every once in a while. You have a Broadway show that does that, and you just have to simply write cues for each ending. It's very time consuming, and with our normal schedule, we can't really do that like so intensively, but I'm willing to give it a shot now that like we're talking about this. It's we gotta try something, and I have to apologize to Anya because I totally overlooked her last question, and this question goes to Lauren. Which sister do you like better, and why?
Oh, that's so hard. That's a great question. I don't know. Honestly, both sisters really developed in the spur of the moment. I didn't really think about them much until I first started doing the lines, and I'm like, oh, that's Constance. Oh, okay, there's Maud. I feel like Constance might be my favorite, only because man, are her lines good. But I mean, Maud, I think we had the most fun filming Maud. I think Lewis, Jordan, and I had the most fun filming Maud. So Maud is sort of like my guilty pleasure, but Constance probably would be number 1 for me.
Wait, I do have to say, in addition to Brader playing 2 roles, she was also Mercy's dialect coach. I was like, I'm gonna do a Yorkshire accent, and I'm like not good at accents. So every week I would send Brader my lines. She would do it with her amazing accent and send it back to me, and then I would just listen to her over and over. So Brader pulled like triple duty in this. So
to piggyback off of that too, I recently had a bunch of friends who watched this and had no idea that Lauren played 2 characters. So props.
I didn't know she played 2 characters.
True. Well, that is the ultimate compliment. And I have to say, partway through, I get, completely confused as to, first of all, what storyline was which. And then I start saying, Bud's, lines with Constance's voice. I was listening to the Yorkshire accent. Some of my outtakes too. So, but we got there, but it was a lot of fun.
There you are, you're back.
Oh.
Think y'all are having some internet problems at your house.
Yeah.
It's probably because there's multiple people here trying to use it.
Yeah, we're having some connection things there. Alrighty. Next question is from Erin McMullen, and I'm gonna preface this by saying that English is my second language. And how do I pronounce it? Shillelagh. Oh, thank you. Thanks, guys. Where did you find a shillelagh? Where were there more than one, since more than one character used it? Was it from the theater?
Ed, I'm going to let you handle that question.
I actually made the shillelagh when I was in the Poconos. I was practicing my survivor skills, building a lot of fires, and I had this like 12-foot branch of a tree, huge sprawling piece of a tree, and I started breaking it up, and I saw this shape, and I actually built that one. I built 3 while I was there.
We did use one in the filming, though. We had a handoff to Alex Klein, who I believe still is in possession of said shillelagh.
Yeah, he better give it back too, because it took me like a week to make each of them.
I bet. Chris, anything?
Yes, we have another question from Regina to Jill. How difficult was it to film all your scenes and keep your baby out of the picture?
It wasn't too bad. Luckily, I had my apron that was always very high, because if you looked underneath the apron, the black shirt, like the buttons were just non-existent. But I would apologize to Damien all the time, because we were supposed to always send like 3 shots and artsy shots, but I couldn't go very far because, I mean, right now I'm like 8 months pregnant, and it's very, very noticeable. So I would always try to shoot from up, but it wasn't too bad. He always did me good.
Perfect.
Yeah, when we first started filming, that black blouse that Jill wears fit her, I believe. I believe it buttoned over.
It was just like maybe the top 3 I could get, and then the apron covered the rest.
If you want to ask that one.
No, it's fine. All right. If there's not much else, then we're going to get ready to wrap this up. If that's okay. I hope that everyone had a great time working on this. I thank you all from the bottom of my heart. It was, like I said, it was just kind of a whim of an idea that I had. And the fact that you were willing to kind of play along was really, really, I think, something special, and something that we can, have and go back to and watch whenever you may be a little bored. And as for season 2, we'll see. Could I write one? Yeah, I could write one next week. But will we have the time once everything reopens and people go back to work to do it? Who knows? Maybe we'll start a fundraiser, and that can be our job for a month or so. But yeah, there could absolutely be a season 2. I would love it. I love that. I love writing for these characters. And like I said, hopefully we'll do a stage version at some point, which could be a different incarnation of this, and maybe we'll even do at least a version that Damien filmed, so it's all really pretty and nice looking. And thank you to all of you who have watched the show and have enjoyed it. Thanks so much. We just are a kooky bunch of people who were bored out of our minds and wanted to focus our energy on something creative. So thank you. And to you all, here's a little special thing. We're going to give you Murder at Cheltenham Manor t-shirts the next time we see you all. So that's a little treat for you guys. And a little fun, all right?
And a big thank you to Anya, big thank you to Jenny, big thank you to Regina, Jane, and Lauren for watching. Thanks for everyone who chimed in, to Joan. Thank you, everyone. You guys are amazing.
Happy Father's Day.
Happy Father's Day, everyone. Thanks, guys. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.